Well, I'll just like to congratulate our volleyball team on their Final Four bid. It was tough to see them run into that buzzsaw at Texas last night, but John Cook and his staff and those young ladies have performed and done Nebraska proud. So quite a run here, and I'm sure it'll keep continuing. And it's really cool when you can sit there and text people and call people all across the country and hey, turn on ESPN, and there's your volleyball team competing for a national championship. So well done, and kudos to them. With that, we're ready for the week. It's an important week for our basketball team to get better and go out and find a way to win against Gardner-Webb and Southern.
We'll have 8 days before you're between games. I guess how has the team rebounded from that kind of rough 10-game stretch?
Well, one of the things is we need practice, but we also need rest. So during finals week, some of these guys are funny. They're bouncing around. And you ask one question like, when was your last final? Last week or Monday? And you got other guys that look like death warmed over and like, when's your last final? Friday at 2, and you can just see the difference. So we practiced and just really tried to clean up some of our offensive stuff, quite frankly, and did our normal defensive buildup, but probably concentrated more on offense. And then gave them a couple days off and some individual work too. So it's been a good week so far, and now we'll get back into game prep mode. We'll have a two-day prep for Gardner-Webb and a one-day prep for Southern.
Without reviewing game plans, anything in particular offensively that you really wanted to hit on?
Yeah, we're going to try and make more shots, but that's not giving away the game plan, is it?
Are there ways to create better opportunities to score?
We threaten them. Well, I think that we're working on our spacing a little harder to give guys like Glenn and Ty a little more room and force the defense to have to make more decisions. I don't think our space has been great on some things. When we do get the ball inside, we get it to our guys in a crowd. So there's just a few things like that take time, attention. So I've had individual meetings all week with all the guys. Watched some tape, looked at some stats and numbers with some of them, talked about how they can help us in their role. And quite frankly, some of those sophomores and juniors just need to step it up a level. And the freshmen are going to come along, I think, as they come along. We got great news out of Isaiah Roby. He took another MRI, and his bone looks better than it ever has. There's no noise or anything in there, so I think that was a huge relief for Isaiah. I think Jordy probably had one of his better outings, even though, and I know he could have done a lot better. He left some free throws, and he's a good free throw shooter. He left some free throws out there and a layup. And so, but other than that, I thought he could have matched a guy like Landon Lucas, who's a fifth-year senior, blow for blow. So I think some of those younger guys are coming on in their own. Jariah Horn is a young guy that, you look at his ability to shoot as he acclimates and picks up to the speed of the game defensively. I think maybe could help us. So just as we go, how do we get our three-point shooters better shots? How do we get them, more confident? Nothing succeeds success, but yet how do you not make it a mental thing too? I think you can get in a shooter's head, so you got to be careful.
How were practices this week? Did you see the level of intensity that you wanted to see?
I thought it was good, comparatively to, what you would normally get in a finals week type of thing. I thought it was good. We did some competitive stuff, but we split the teams up fairly evenly and went out and competed well. And so we'll just see how that goes. I don't know what my lineup's going to look like yet. And it could be the same lineup we started the second half. It might be a few tweaks from that, but there'll definitely be some lineup changes, I would imagine.
That second half Anton had at Kansas, was from a confidence standpoint, was that as good as he's looked?
I would imagine that it would help him. I think Anton's felt pressure to go out and be a scorer or be a this or be a that, and I think he's got to let the game come to him a little more, which he did in the second half. He's doing what we're asking him to do more often, which is good, and he's adapting to, you can practice all year, but all of a sudden you get in game form, there's some adaptation that you need as a player, and he's making those.
Coach,
players for the next month won't have any classes. They can just focus solely on basketball until January 9th. So how important is this next month going to be to prepare your team for Big Ten play?
Well, it'll be great, because of the extra time we can spend with them. But at the same time, some of those guys do really well during the break, and some of those guys fall off a little bit because of the regimentation's not there of going to class. And so you kind of have to figure that out by quality of practice, by what they're doing, and then manage that accordingly, too. So there are some challenges to go with that, too.
Southern and Grambling are not going to be as good as Kansas and Creighton, pretty good chance. So how important are these next two games to getting ready for that conference play?
Well, Gardner-Webb's got, I think, a well-coached team. They do a lot of things to turn you over. They've got some size underneath, too. They lost a lot of shooting like we did. And Southern, first of all, I admire Roman Banks a great deal. I think that he's an excellent coach. I think he's he was a heck of a player. And he always has those guys ready. And they played well. A few years ago, we beat them by just a few, and they played Gonzaga tougher than heck in the NCAA tournament. He does a really nice job with his team. So one is we're getting two well-coached teams, and I think that always helps us figure out ourselves. We've seen a whole bunch of well-coached teams too. So the idea is for us to do what we do best, take away their strengths, and figure out how to win a game.
Jack McVay played 7 minutes in the first half, didn't play at all in the second half against Kansas. Was that just him having a tough day? Or
That was my decision. I'm not saying I just was going to play the guys I thought were there, and Jack's in a slump, and so there's a certain point of diminishing returns, and I thought we were at least past that. It's nothing against Jack. It's just where I thought his play was. He's got a chance to get better and get back on top, and he'll be out there again.
Who do you think's standing out defensively right now?
Well, I like our team effort. I think we're probably a top 30 or 40 team in the country in defense. In fact, if you look at our RPI numbers, they're 59-1 right now, 59 or 57 yesterday in the RPI and 1 in the strength of schedule. I'm not sure when, quite frankly, regardless of our record, those are the numbers that matter. And if you look at the analytics of our defense, I think, Webster is one of those guys that is one of the better defenders in the league. We got to get Glenn getting tougher into the ball again. I think our screen and roll stuff has been okay, but the best teams really force you into that. I didn't love our post defense against Kansas, but that's by design. They do a really good job of getting the ball inside, too. That's a great MO for them. So I think as you look at things and you say, all right, what can we do better? Where do we need to be? You're always your ability to get back and stop transition, your ability to guard the ball, rebound, handle screen and roll, right, are really the most important elements of defense. And so we're concentrating on those things more than anything.
You mentioned Ty. Do you get concerned at all that he's carrying too much of a load for you guys?
By the way, Glenn Watson off the ball with his ability to steal the ball has been really important for us, too, to create transition. In terms of Ty Webster carrying too much of the load, good problem to have if I'm him. But, yeah, you worry about that. But this is a guy that is a physical specimen. He takes care of himself. 2 years ago, I think he was doing our workouts. He was lifting. He was playing with the guys, and then he was doing CrossFit with his girlfriend just for giggles. And so, he's a different, athlete. So I'm not worried about it at this point. And I've held him out of some stuff earlier this week just to give him some more rest, too. Anything else? Thanks.